Part 2. Chapter 7. The Desolation of Isolation. The enduring summer, with its golden harvests and the quiet strength of communal bonds, had long since yielded to the relentless grip of winter. The fields of Krasnoe, once vibrant with life and ceaseless toil, now lay shrouded in a pristine, unyielding blanket of snow, silent and desolate beneath a perpetually gray sky. The birches, stripped bare of their golden leaves, stood like stark, skeletal sentinels against the vast, unforgiving landscape, their branches coated in glittering ice. This season, usually a time of quiet contemplation and communal warmth around the hearth, became for Anna Ivanovna Volkov a period of profound personal trial, a descent into a spiritual wilderness that mirrored the stark, isolating beauty of the surrounding land. The chill that now permeated Anna's izba, however, emanated not merely from the relentless winds that howled outside, whistling through the cracks in the logs, but from within herself. It began subtly, as all great misfortunes often do, with a persistent, nagging cough that soon deepened into a rasping wheeze, stealing her breath with each laborious inhalation. A fever, insidious and unyielding, burned hot and cold in turns, racking her body with relentless tremors, leaving her perpetually clammy and disoriented. Old Aksenya, the village midwife, now older and frailer herself, brought her traditional herbal remedies, concoctions steeped in the wisdom of generations, her gaze filled with concern as she pressed cool cloths to Anna's burning brow. Anna's mother, Maria Nikolaevna, journeyed from Zariadi, her face etched with worry, her touch gentle and familiar against Anna's feverish skin. But the sickness, a relentless, insidious torment, seemed to defy all remedies, all comforting reassurances, settling deep within Anna's chest, stealing her strength, her very will to rise. For weeks, which stretched into what felt like an eternity, Anna lay confined to her bed, her robust body, accustomed to ceaseless, purposeful toil, now rendered weak and powerless. The vibrant tapestry of her busy days, once so meticulously woven with threads of endless tasks, abruptly unraveled, leaving her adrift in a profound, disorienting inactivity, her hands, perpetually busy with baking, weaving, mending, with the tangible acts of nurturing and providing, now lay idle in her lap, thin and trembling, their accustomed purpose cruelly snatched away. She, who had always nurtured, provided, and sustained her family, her home, her community, now found herself utterly dependent, a burden upon her own beloved family, upon the very people she had so diligently cared for. This reversal of roles, this sudden, debilitating incapacity, struck her not merely as a physical affliction, but as a profound spiritual blow, a stripping away of her very identity, of her innate sense of worth. The loss of her ability to contribute was a torment more pervasive, more agonizing, than any physical pain. She heard the sounds of the izba around her, Dmitri's heavy, weary footsteps, Ivan's earnest, clumsy efforts to mimic his father in the men's chores, Maria's quiet attempts to help with the spinning and mending, little Alexei's restless cries, often going unsoothed for longer than they should, and each sound pierced her with a fresh wave of self-reproach. A profound, agonizing guilt. Dmitri, her steadfast husband, worked tirelessly, his already heavy burdens compounded by her illness, his face often etched with a silent despair. He tended to the livestock, chopped wood, cleared paths through the snow, and even tried his hand, clumsily, at some of Anna's domestic tasks, his large, calloused hands ill-suited for the delicate work. Ivan, her eldest son, young as he was, bore a man's share of the farm duties, his young face etched with a new, sober solemnity, a prematurely adult gaze. Maria, her bright, spirited daughter, took on the care of little Alexei, her small hands struggling with tasks beyond her years, her laughter less frequent now. Anna observed their tireless efforts from her bed, witnessing their quiet struggle, their ceaseless toil, and a profound, agonizing guilt settled upon her, weighing her down more heavily than the illness itself. She, who had always been the quiet strength of her household, was now its weakness, its drain, a motionless shadow upon the hearth. This crushing sense of being a burden, of her very essence as a nurturer and provider being stripped away, led her to a profound sense of isolation. Even surrounded by the unwavering love of her family, by their tireless efforts to care for her. She felt utterly cut off, adrift in a vast, cold sea of her own suffering. Their kindness, their selfless devotion, while appreciated, somehow amplified her inner torment, her sense of being a solitary island in a world that continued its rhythm without her. They were well, they were whole, they were doing the work of living. She was not. The world continued its ceaseless rhythm of existence, of labor and struggle. But she was trapped, watching it from afar, a prisoner in her own failing body, a silent witness to her own gradual decline, to the increasing burden she placed upon her loved ones. Her spiritual desolation deepened with each passing day, each hacking cough, each wave of fever. Anna had experienced profound grief before. The shattering loss of Fyodor, which had, through its agony, forged her faith into a deeper, more resilient conviction. But that grief, though agonizing, had possessed a clarity, a direct connection to God's mysterious will, to the inevitable cycle of life and death, of beginning and end. This illness, however, felt different. It was prolonged, debilitating, seemingly without purpose, without end. Her prayers, once a vital conduit to God, a source of profound comfort and certainty, now felt like hollow echoes in a vast, empty chamber. Her voice weak and unheard, she questioned not merely the timing of her suffering, but the very meaning of her life. What purpose could there be in such protracted, agonizing suffering, in being rendered useless, a burden to those she loved most, to the very people she was meant to protect and sustain? Why, Lord? She would whisper into the impenetrable darkness of the night, her voice hoarse, her throat aching with the effort. Why this bitter trial? Have I sinned? Have I failed in my sacred duties? Why are you silent in my torment? The questions resonated in the quiet izba, but no answer came, only the relentless ache in her chest, the persistent cough that racked her frail body, and the crushing weight of her own despair. The benevolent God of her youth, the God found in the abundant harvest and the comforting rhythm of the seasons, seemed distant, unreachable, veiled by a profound, terrifying indifference. Her enduring faith, forged through the crucible of earlier sorrows, now faced its deepest, most agonizing test, threatening to unravel completely, leaving her utterly exposed. The winter landscape mirrored her inner state with a stark, brutal precision that seemed to amplify her despair. Outside, the world was a canvas of bleak whites and grays, devoid of warmth, of color, of the vibrant pulse of life. The snow, beautiful in its initial purity, now lay heavy and unforgiving, burying the land, muffling all sound, enforcing a profound, oppressive silence. The short, dark days merged seamlessly with the long, cold nights, filled with the howling of the wind, the mournful creak of the frozen trees, the distant, eerie cries of wolves. It was a landscape of absence, of stark, unyielding reality, a perfect, desolate reflection of the spiritual desolation that gripped Anna's soul. She would gaze out of the small izba window, her eyes burning with unshed tears, watching the endless expanse of snow, feeling its cold despair seep into her very bones, chilling her from the inside out. The communal aspect of village life, which had once been a source of unwavering strength and comfort, now felt like a distant, unattainable memory. Neighbors would visit, their faces etched with sympathy, bringing small gifts of food, a pot of hot kasha, a fresh loaf of bread, offering quiet words of encouragement and shared prayers. But their visits were brief, their faces etched with a concern that only deepened Anna's sense of separation, her feeling of being profoundly other. She understood their efforts, their good intentions, but her suffering felt intensely personal, a lonely burden that isolated her even in their presence. She yearned for the ability to rise, to rejoin them, to participate in the shared rhythm of work and worship. But her body betrayed her, holding her captive in a world of perpetual weakness, a silent prisoner within her own flesh. Dmitri, his own spirit marked by the enduring echoes of war, tried his utmost to provide for Anna, to alleviate her suffering. He would sit by her bedside in the evenings, reading softly from the gospel, his voice a low, comforting rumble, hoping to soothe her restless spirit. He would bring her small, wild herbs gathered from beneath the snow, hoping to tempt her appetite, to bring some small comfort. He tried to speak words of comfort, of his enduring love, of his unwavering hope for a recovery. but his own profound solemnity, born of his past trials, sometimes made him seem distant, unable to bridge the gap of her immediate suffering, unable to fully articulate the depth of his own sorrow. He was a good, steadfast husband, but he could not walk the path of her illness with her, could not share the unique burden of her spiritual desolation. He could only endure alongside her, a silent, helpless witness. Even the memory of the birch grove, her childhood sanctuary, now brought a peculiar, sharp ache. She imagined it outside, stripped bare, its graceful branches coated in ice, its usual whispering comfort replaced by a stark, brittle silence. It felt like a symbol of her own desolate spirit, stripped of its vibrancy, its life force momentarily suspended, its beauty obscured by the harsh grip of winter. The comfort she had once found in nature's quiet strength seemed utterly obscured by the harsh reality of its current, unyielding grip, its indifferent beauty. Anna spent countless hours in quiet contemplation, her mind adrift in a sea of despair, consumed by the relentless turning of her thoughts. She thought of Fyodor, her lost son, and longed for the clarity of that grief, for the tangible sorrow that had allowed for communal mourning, for a path to eventual acceptance. This new suffering felt formless, pervasive, its purpose utterly obscured, a relentless, spiritual gnawing that left her utterly drained. She questioned the meaning of her own existence, her contribution to the world. If she could no longer nurture, no longer provide, no longer sustain, what purpose did her life serve? The very foundations of her identity as a peasant woman, as a mother, as a wife, seemed to crumble beneath her, leaving her feeling like an empty vessel. The constant cough, the fever that ebbed and flowed like a relentless tide, the profound weakness that permeated her very being, these were the physical manifestations of her internal crisis. The outward signs of a soul in torment. She watched the days shorten, the nights lengthen, feeling herself adrift in a sea of perpetual darkness. A cold, unending night. Her prayers, once a vibrant, flowing stream, had dried up, leaving only the parched earth of her soul. Cracked and barren, she was lost, profoundly isolated, wrestling alone with the immense, unspoken questions of suffering and the elusive nature of enduring faith. The long winter had truly descended upon her soul, leaving her in a state of profound desolation, a shadow of the resilient woman she once was, a life suspended beneath the unyielding silence of the snow-covered birch grove. Chapter 8. The birch grove's embrace, finding solace in nature. The profound desolation that had gripped Anna Ivanovna Volkov through the long, unyielding weeks of winter had settled deep within her, mirroring the frozen landscape outside. Her illness, though slowly receding, had left her body weak and her spirit profoundly weary. The vibrant threads of her former self seemed to have unraveled, leaving her a prisoner of her own physical fragility and the relentless torment of her unanswered prayers. The izba, once a sanctuary of warmth and purpose, now felt like a confinement, and the loving efforts of Dmitri and her children, though deeply appreciated, could not pierce the heavy veil of isolation that enveloped her. She yearned for escape, not from her family, but from the crushing weight of her own despair, from the pervasive silence of a God who seemed to have abandoned her. It was in this profound yearning for solace, for a respite from the internal winter of her soul, that her thoughts, with a quiet, almost desperate insistence, turned to the birch grove. The grove, her sanctuary since childhood, had always been a place of profound comfort, its whispering leaves a confidant, its quiet embrace a balm to her spirit. Even now, in the stark depths of winter, when its branches were stripped bare and its usual verdant warmth replaced by a crystalline silence, she felt an inexplicable pull towards its immutable presence. It was a place where time seemed to cease, where the human folly and suffering that had so consumed her felt distant, diminished by the ancient wisdom of the trees. One biting afternoon, when the sun hung low and pale in the sky, casting long, blue shadows across the snow-covered earth, Anna rose from her bed with a renewed, albeit fragile, determination. Her body still ached, her legs felt unsteady, but a quiet resolve, born of desperation and a deep, intuitive need, propelled her forward. She wrapped herself in a thick woolen shawl, her movements slow and deliberate, and, without a word to Dmitri, who was working in the stable, she slipped out of the izba. The cold air was a sharp shock to her lungs. But it was a welcome sensation. A cleansing breath after the suffocating warmth of her sick room. She walked slowly, carefully, her boots crunching softly on the pristine snow. The village lay hushed under its winter mantle. Its familiar outlines softened, muted by the pervasive silence. She passed the communal well, the frozen surface of the water gleaming like polished steel. And the village church, its wooden domes stark against the pale sky. Each familiar landmark was imbued with a new, profound significance, seen through eyes that had glimpsed the very precipice of despair. As she reached the edge of the birch grove, a profound stillness enveloped her, a silence deeper than any she had known. The trees, their silver-white bark luminous against the snow, stood like silent sentinels, their delicate branches etched with frost, glittering faintly in the sparse sunlight. The air here was pristine, biting cold, yet strangely invigorating, carrying the clean scent of frozen wood and fresh snow. This was nature in its starkest, most unyielding form, yet in its very severity. Anna found a profound, unexpected beauty. She walked deeper into the grove, her movements slow, deliberate, each step a conscious act of will. The snow lay deep and unbroken, save for the tracks of small, unseen creatures. The birches, usually so vibrant and full of life, now stood in a state of profound slumber, their branches reaching towards the sky like ancient, gnarled hands. This was a place stripped bare, a place of profound absence. Yet in its very desolation, Anna found a strange solace. It mirrored her own inner landscape, stripped bare of illusions, emptied of easy certainties, but retaining a stark, unyielding truth. The grove became her confidant, its silent presence offering a unique form of healing. She would sit on a snow-covered log, her body wrapped in her shawl, and simply be. She would listen to the wind whispering through the bare branches, a mournful, yet profoundly comforting sound that spoke of endurance, of the cyclical nature of loss and renewal. She would trace the delicate patterns of frost on the leaves that still clung to the branches, marveling at their intricate beauty, at the resilience of life even in the grip of winter. Her breath would mist in the cold air, a tangible sign of her own fragile, persistent life. Her memories of youth in this very grove resurfaced, not with the sharp pang of longing, but with a gentle, nostalgic warmth. She remembered her childhood games with Mikhail, their laughter echoing through the trees, their innocent understanding of the world. She remembered seeking solace here after the small disappointments of youth, finding comfort in the quiet embrace of the birches. These memories, once distant and almost forgotten, now served as a subtle source of resilience. They reminded her of the enduring strength of her spirit, of the joys she had known, of the profound connection to life that had always defined her. The grove held not just her childhood, but the very essence of her unbroken self. In these quiet moments of contemplation, amidst the stark beauty of the winter grove, Anna began to find a path to quiet contemplation and healing. She thought of the relentless cycle of the seasons, the harshness of winter. The seeming death of the land was not an ending, but a necessary pause, a period of profound rest before the inevitable return of spring. The trees, stripped bare, were not truly dead, they were simply waiting, their life force dormant, gathering strength for the next awakening. This natural truth resonated deeply with her own spiritual struggle. Perhaps her suffering, her period of profound desolation, was not a punishment, but a necessary winter for her own soul. A time of dormancy before a new, deeper blossoming. She began to question her faith anew, not with the bitterness of despair, but with a quiet, earnest seeking. If God was not in the immediate deliverance from suffering, perhaps He was in the very process of endurance, in the profound resilience of the human spirit. If He was not in the warmth of summer, perhaps He was in the stark beauty of winter, in the unwavering promise of renewal that lay hidden beneath the snow. She recalled Matvei Semyonovich's words, "The wisdom of the elders, your faith was born of innocence. But the war, that was a storm. It ripped away your branches. But it also forced your roots deeper, to seek God not in the easy sunlight, but in the dark, cold earth of suffering, in the silent embrace of the birch grove." She began to understand these words with a profound clarity. Her roots, indeed, were being forced deeper, seeking sustenance in the unseen truths beneath the surface. The cold, still air of the grove became her confessor. She would speak, softly, almost imperceptibly, to the ancient trees, murmuring the questions that still plagued her heart, not demanding answers, but simply giving voice to her sorrow. She confessed her anger, her despair, her moments of doubt, and in the profound silence of the grove, she found not words in return, but a quiet acceptance, a sense of being heard and understood by a presence far older and wiser than herself. The stark beauty of the winter landscape, with its unyielding purity, seemed to cleanse her spirit, stripping away the extraneous, revealing the raw, enduring core of her being. She observed the delicate dance of sunlight on snow, the intricate patterns of ice on frozen branches. She noticed the subtle movements of small creatures, a fleeting shadow of a squirrel, the delicate tracks of a bird, testaments to life persisting even in the harshest conditions. These small, fleeting glimpses of life's tenacity filled her with a quiet wonder, a subtle surge of hope. If life could endure here, in this desolate beauty, then surely her own spirit, too, possessed that same capacity for survival, for renewal. Dmitri, cautious and respectful of her needs, would often watch her from a distance, seeing her disappear into the grove, his heart filled with a mixture of concern and hope. He remembered his own dark days of introspection after the war, the solace he had found in relentless labor. He understood her need for solitude, for a path to healing that lay beyond the reach of words. He would offer her a warm shawl when she returned, his gaze filled with unspoken love, and in his quiet acceptance, Anna found a profound comfort. Anna's daily visits to the birch grove became a sacred ritual, a vital lifeline in the long winter of her soul. She returned to the izba each evening, her body chilled, but her spirit subtly lightened, refreshed by the profound quietude of the grove, the clarity she found there, amidst the stark beauty and enduring silence, allowed her to face the demands of her home with renewed, albeit quiet, strength. The nightmares still visited her, but their grip seemed to lessen, their intensity softened by the pervasive calm she found in nature's embrace. Her memories of Fyodor, her lost son, which had once been a source of agonizing pain, now took on a different quality. She remembered his innocent laughter, his small hand in hers, not with bitterness, but with a profound, enduring tenderness, a quiet acceptance of the precious, fleeting nature of life. The grove had witnessed her early joys, her early sorrows, and now, it witnessed her slow, arduous journey towards a deeper, more resilient understanding of both. As the winter began its slow, reluctant retreat, yielding to the first tentative breaths of spring, Anna emerged from the grove not as the woman she had been before her illness, nor as the woman she was before the war, but as a new being. Her body was still fragile, but her spirit, though scarred, was now imbued with a quiet power, a profound serenity born of enduring profound suffering and finding solace in the stark, immutable truths of nature. The birch grove had not merely been a refuge, it had been a crucible, a silent companion in her healing, offering its embrace and its ancient wisdom, pointing her towards a deeper understanding of faith, one born not of innocence, but of the long, desolate winter of the soul, and the unwavering promise of life's relentless return. She was ready, at last, to begin the slow, arduous process of reclaiming her place in the vibrant tapestry of Krasnoe. Her heart transformed by the enduring solace found beneath the shadow of the birch grove. Chapter 9. Sparks in the darkness. Unexpected encounters. The long winter, cold and unyielding, continued its relentless grip upon Krasnoe. The snow lay deep and undisturbed, blanketing the fields in a vast, silent expanse, and the birch grove, stripped bare of its leaves, stood like a congregation of spectral figures, their branches etched with frost. Anna Ivanovna Volkov, though she found fleeting solace in the stark beauty and quiet contemplation of her beloved grove, remained a prisoner of her own soul's profound winter. Her lingering illness had left her body weak, and her spirit, ravaged by the loss of Fyodor and the unanswered prayers that followed, felt barren and desolate. The wisdom of Matvey Semyonovich had offered a framework for understanding, a seed of new faith, but the earth of her heart remained frozen, seemingly impenetrable to the warmth of true healing. The isolation, though sometimes self-imposed, was a heavy cloak, separating her from the very family she loved, and from the comforting rhythms of communal life. Each day, Anna rose with a weariness that permeated her very bones. She performed her duties in the izba, her movements slow and deliberate, her hands still finding the familiar rhythm of domesticity. But her mind often felt distant, shrouded in a pervasive gloom. The laughter of her children, Ivan, Maria, and little Alexei, though precious, sometimes felt like a discordant note in the silent symphony of her sorrow. She yearned for a genuine connection, for a spark that could ignite the dying embers of her hope. But she knew not where to seek it. Her conversations with Dmitri, while filled with unspoken love, rarely touched the depths of her spiritual torment. For some abysses, she felt, must be crossed alone. It was on a particularly bitter afternoon, when the wind howled like a hungry wolf across the plains, tearing at the thatched roofs and rattling the window panes, that Anna felt an inexplicable compulsion to seek a different kind of solace. She had walked to the birch grove, as was her daily ritual, but the raw ferocity of the wind, the biting cold, seemed to amplify her internal desolation, leaving her spirit more exposed, more vulnerable. She turned her steps instead towards the far edge of the village, towards a small, dilapidated izba nestled almost completely within the encroaching forest. This was the home of Darya Nikolaevna, an old woman whispered about by the villagers with a mixture of reverence and superstitious awe. Darya was a reclusive figure, a woman of immense age, who lived alone, rumored to possess a profound, almost mystical connection to the earth and the spirits, a knowledge gleaned from a lifetime spent observing the hidden currents of life and death. She was rarely seen in the village, coming only to the market for necessities. Her eyes, though ancient, sharp and knowing, Anna had only glimpsed Darya a few times, her presence a fleeting shadow at the edge of village life. But now, drawn by a desperate, inchoate yearning for wisdom beyond the familiar, Anna felt an irresistible pull towards the old woman's isolated dwelling. Her steps were hesitant, weighted by a profound sense of intrusion, yet something propelled her forward. The air grew colder as she left the last izbas behind, the snow deeper, the silence more profound. She knocked softly on Darya's crooked wooden door, the sound swallowed by the howling wind. After a long moment, the door creaked open, revealing the figure of the old woman. Darya Nikolaevna was a woman of diminutive stature, her body bent by age, yet her presence was immense. Her face, a roadmap of countless wrinkles, seemed as ancient as the birches themselves. Her eyes, set deep within their sockets, gleamed with an unnerving, piercing intelligence. She wore simple, dark peasant clothes, and a thick, dark shawl was wrapped tightly around her head, framing her sharp, knowing gaze. Anna Ivanovna. Darya's voice was surprisingly clear, albeit raspy, like dry leaves rustling. She showed no surprise at Anna's presence. I have awaited you. The winter has been long for your soul. Come in. The fire is warm. Anna stepped inside, feeling a profound sense of awe and apprehension. The izba was small, sparsely furnished, but filled with an otherworldly warmth from a crackling hearth. The air was thick with the scent of dried herbs, wood smoke, and something else, subtle and indefinable, something ancient and primal. Darya gestured to a low stool by the fire, then sat opposite Anna, her hands, gnarled and frail, resuming their slow, rhythmic stirring of a pot simmering over the flames. You seek answers, child, Darya began, her eyes fixed on the fire, her voice a low murmur. Answers that the earth does not give in words, nor the priests in their doctrines. You seek meaning in suffering, and you find only silence. Anna's breath caught in her throat. Darya knew. She saw the depths of her spiritual torment without a single word being spoken. Slowly, hesitantly, Anna began to speak, her voice trembling slightly. Of the death of Fyodor. Of the profound emptiness that followed. Of the war that took Dmitri and left him changed. And of her own recent illness, which had rendered her useless. A burden. She spoke of the shattered faith, the unanswered prayers, the bitterness that clung to her heart, the profound isolation. The words poured out, raw and unbidden, a torrent of suppressed grief and agonizing doubt. Darya listened, her hands never ceasing their rhythmic stirring, her ancient face impassive, yet radiating a profound understanding. She offered no immediate comfort, no easy platitudes, simply allowed Anna's despair to unfold in the warmth of her presence. When Anna finally fell silent, exhausted, spent, a profound quiet settled in the small izba, broken only by the crackle of the fire and the low murmur of the wind outside. Life, Anna Ivanovna, Darya finally said, her voice soft, yet imbued with immense weight, is not a clear stream that flows unhindered from source to sea. No, it is more like the river in spring. It rushes with snowmelt, turbulent and powerful, carving new paths. Then, in summer, it may shrink to a trickle, meandering slowly, and in winter, it freezes over, hard and silent, appearing dead, but beneath the ice. Anna, the current flows still. It always flows. It merely changes its form. She paused, turning her gaze directly to Anna, her eyes piercing. Your heart, your faith, it is like that river. It has known the turbulence of grief, the slow trickle of weariness, and now, the profound stillness of winter. But it is not dead. It is merely frozen, waiting, and the questions, Anna, the unanswered prayers, they are not a sign of God's absence, but of His profound mystery. You seek Him in the thunder of cannons, in the sudden miracle of healing, but God is in the silent cold. He is in the unyielding frost. He is in the suffering itself. He is in the quiet perseverance of the grass beneath the snow. Patiently awaiting spring, Darya reached over, her gnarled hand gently touching Anna's trembling fingers. You ask, why me? And you find no answer. But this is the wrong question. Anna, the question is not, why, but, how? How will you pass through this winter? How will you find the current beneath the ice? How will you choose to move forward, even when your heart aches? She spoke of the resilience of the earth, of the long, arduous cycle of life and death, of the ancient wisdom of acceptance. The birches, Anna, they stand bare and silent in winter. They do not rage against the cold. They simply endure. They store their life within, deep in their roots, waiting, and in that waiting, there is a profound strength, a wisdom that man, in his haste, often forgets. Your sorrow is deep. It is a part of you now. You cannot cast it off like a worn shawl, but you can learn to carry it, to move with it, to find strength even within its weight. For to carry sorrow with dignity, that too is a form of grace. Darya then spoke of the human spirit, of the small, imperceptible acts of grace that illuminate the darkest corners. You remember the compassion you showed Katerina, the kindness you offered Vasily's mother? Those were not merely acts of duty, Anna, they were sparks, sparks in the darkness, God's light, shining through the cracks in human suffering. You sought God in the grand and found silence. But He is in the small. He is in the hand that offers warmth, in the heart that still feels empathy, even when its own wellspring of joy has dried. The human connection, Anna, is a sacred thread. It binds us. It sustains us. It is the enduring power of creation, refusing to yield to the forces of destruction. Anna listened, her spirit slowly, painfully, beginning to unfurl from its tightly coiled despair. Darya's words were like water on parched earth, not a sudden flood, but a slow, nourishing trickle that seeped into her soul. She had sought answers in grand pronouncements, in external signs, and found only disillusionment. But Darya pointed her to the profound mystery within suffering itself, to the tenacious power of life's simple endurance, to the sacredness of human connection. Her faith, she realized, was not shattered beyond repair. It was being transformed, refined, made stronger through the very ordeal that had threatened to consume her. It was a faith that acknowledged the darkness, yet stubbornly clung to the enduring light, a steadfastness born not of innocence, but of a profound, lived experience of both desolation and the persistent flicker of grace. The enduring power of shared human connection became palpably real in that moment. This wandering pilgrim, a stranger to Krasnoe, had, through her quiet presence and profound wisdom, offered Anna a lifeline, a glimmer of hope that transcended the boundaries of their individual lives. In the shared vulnerability of Anna's confession and the pilgrim's empathetic understanding, a profound spiritual bond was forged, a brief yet potent testament to the enduring power of human connection. Even in the bleakest of circumstances, Anna realized that she was not alone in her suffering, that her path, though unique, was part of a larger human journey of endurance and spiritual seeking. As the afternoon waned, and the biting cold deepened, the pilgrim rose, her movements slow but graceful. "The road calls, daughter," she said, her eyes gentle, her face serene. "But remember this. Even in the deepest winter, beneath the heaviest snow, life stirs, and in the darkest night, the brightest stars reveal themselves. Do not close your heart to the quiet miracles, to the enduring strength that lies within you, and in the love of those around you. Forgiveness, peace, true faith, they are not found in the absence of sorrow, but in the willingness to embrace life's complexities, to trust in the unseen path. Go with God, Anna Ivanovna, and may your spirit find its spring. The pilgrim nodded once more, then turned and walked away, her small figure slowly disappearing into the vast, white expanse of the snow-covered road, a fleeting spark of light fading into the gathering twilight. Anna stood for a long time, watching her go, a profound sense of stillness settling over her. The cold wind whipped around her, but she barely felt it. Her body still ached, her lungs still struggled, but her spirit, though weary, felt subtly lighter, invigorated by the unexpected encounter. She walked back to her izba, her steps more purposeful, the snow crunching softly beneath her boots. The silence of the village still surrounded her, but it no longer felt oppressive. It felt contemplative, imbued with a new potential. The memories of the war, the loss of Fyodor, the unspoken burdens of her life, remained, deep and indelible, but they no longer consumed her entirely. They were part of her story. Yes, but not the whole of it. The pilgrim's words had provided a new lens through which to view her suffering, a path towards reconciling her faith with the harsh realities of existence. As night descended, bringing with it a chilling cold, Anna entered her izba, the warmth of the hearth fire a welcome presence. She saw Dmitri sitting by the fire, his face etched with familiar weariness, and the children asleep in their pallets. Her heart swelled with a profound, quiet tenderness. She still carried her burdens, but now, she carried them with a new kind of strength, a strength born of humility and grace. She knelt before the icon, clutching the worn wooden cross, and offered a prayer, not of desperate pleading, but of profound gratitude. Her faith, transformed by the unexpected encounter, was no longer merely a shield against despair, but a vibrant, living truth, a steadfast flame that would guide her through the remaining darkness of winter, towards the inevitable, hopeful promise of spring, beneath the enduring shadow of the birch grove. Chapter 10. The Thaw. Reclaiming Purpose. The relentless grip of winter, which had so profoundly mirrored the desolation of Anna Ivanovna Volkov's soul, finally began its slow, inevitable retreat from the fields of Krasnoe. The heavy snows softened, then yielded to the gentle persuasion of the lengthening days, revealing patches of dark, moist earth, teeming with the nascent promise of life. The ice on the river, once a formidable, unyielding barrier, cracked and groaned, its fragments carried away by the quickening current, their faint murmur like a song of liberation. The bare branches of the birches, once stark and skeletal against the gray sky, now showed the first, delicate swelling of buds, a subtle hint of the verdant glory to come. This was the thaw, a universal phenomenon that spoke not merely of a changing season, but of a profound, enduring renewal, a truth that resonated deeply within Anna's own heart, awakening her to new possibilities. Guided by the quiet, ancient wisdom of Darya Nikolaevna, the old woman of the forest, and fortified by the fleeting, yet potent, glimpse of grace she had found in the depths of her despair, Anna now embarked upon her own slow, arduous journey of emotional and spiritual recovery. The darkness that had clung to her spirit like a suffocating shroud began, imperceptibly at first, to recede, yielding to a fragile, yet undeniable, light that shimmered like distant spring water. Her body, though still bearing the lingering weakness of her long illness, found a renewed, if tentative, strength, a subtle tremor of returning vitality. Her hands, once idle in her lap, now yearned for the familiar feel of the soil, for the purposeful engagement with the living world, for the simple, elemental connection that had always defined her. She began to rise earlier, even before the first tentative birdsong, her steps lighter, her movements imbued with a new, quiet determination. The persistent cough that had racked her body for so long now came less frequently. Its intensity diminished, a fading echo of the winter's torment. The nightmares, though they still visited her on occasion, their images of blood and loss softened by the light of day, no longer held the same visceral terror. Their grip on her waking hours loosened, allowing for moments of true peace. The profound sense of isolation, which had separated her even from her beloved family, slowly began to dissipate, replaced by a nascent yearning for connection, a desperate desire to re-engage with the vibrant tapestry of life in Krasnoe, to reweave herself into its enduring fabric. Anna now actively worked to re-engage with her family and her responsibilities. Not with the grim obligation that had characterized her despair, not with the heavy sense of duty that had once driven her, but with a renewed, deeper sense of purpose. Her tasks in the izba, once performed mechanically, their meaning obscured by her sorrow, now became acts of deliberate intention, infused with a newfound reverence for the warmth and order they brought to her home. She kneaded dough with a quiet intensity, feeling the life within the flour and water, transforming it into nourishing bread, a tangible act of creation. She spun wool with patient diligence, each thread a symbol of continuity, of the painstaking reweaving of her own fractured spirit. Her hands, once simply tools of endless labor, now became instruments of love, of deliberate creation, each movement a silent prayer of gratitude. Her presence within the izba, once distant and shrouded by her inner suffering, became noticeably more vibrant, more engaged. She listened to Dmitri's quiet recounting of the day's toil in the fields. His words often brief, his gaze direct, and she met his occasional, weary glances with a gentle, reassuring smile, a silent affirmation of their enduring partnership, their shared journey through life's complexities. The unspoken chasm that had separated them, the barrier of her silent sorrow, began to narrow, bridged by her renewed presence, her subtle gestures of love and understanding, her active participation in their shared life. He, in turn, found a quiet comfort in her re-emerging vitality, a subtle lightening of his own burdens. With her children, the thaw was even more palpable, a joyous blossoming that filled her heart. She would spend long moments with Ivan, her eldest, now rapidly growing into a young man, his serious eyes reflecting his father's quiet strength. Anna taught him the intricate wisdom of preparing the garden for spring planting. Imparting the hard-won lessons of the earth, she spoke not in grand pronouncements, but through gentle instruction, through shared labor in the thawing soil, through the quiet example of her hands tending the tender shoots. She saw in his budding diligence a reflection of her own perseverance, and she sought to nurture his burgeoning sense of responsibility, guiding him with a steady, loving hand, instilling in him a profound respect for the land that sustained them. Their shared work became a silent dialogue, a tangible transmission of knowledge and values that transcended mere words. Maria, her spirited daughter, thrived in Anna's renewed presence, her laughter echoing more freely through the izba. Anna would engage with her boundless curiosity, patiently answering her questions about the world, about the plants in the fields, about the ancient customs of their people. She taught Maria intricate embroidery patterns, weaving stories into the threads, sharing tales of their ancestors, instilling in the girl a sense of their rich heritage, their unbreakable connection to the past. She laughed more freely with Maria, finding a profound joy in her daughter's vibrant energy, her innocent delight in the unfolding world. Maria's laughter, once a poignant reminder of lost innocence, now became a celebration of life's enduring beauty, a testament to the resilient spirit that had found its way back to her mother's heart. Filling it with light, little Alexei, still a toddler, bloomed under her renewed, boundless care. Anna would carry him often, his small body warm and comforting against hers, his innocent laughter a balm to her soul. She would sing him lullabies, ancient songs that had cradled generations of children, feeling the profound, unbreakable connection of mother and child, a bond that transcended all earthly suffering, all temporal pain. His boundless energy and unburdened joy were a constant reminder of the purity she sought to reclaim. The simple, undeniable grace of new life, a beacon of hope for the future. Anna's re-engagement with her responsibilities extended beyond her immediate family, subtly radiating outward to encompass the wider communal body of Krasnoe. She began to actively participate in the communal life of the village once more. She would walk to the communal well, exchanging not just brief greetings, but genuine conversations with other women, her face open, her eyes reflecting a renewed warmth, a quiet strength. She offered her assistance to neighbors in need, her hands readily available for shared labor, her quiet competence a source of strength for others. When a child fell ill, she would offer her carefully brewed herbal teas, drawing on her profound knowledge of nature's remedies. sharing her hard-won lessons in quiet acts of compassion. Her quiet perseverance, though rarely articulated in words, subtly radiated outward, inspiring those around her, becoming a silent testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. The villagers, always observant, began to speak of Anna's return, not merely from illness, but from the depths of her sorrow, marveling at the quiet strength that seemed to flow from her. Her faith, which had been so shattered by her illness and profound spiritual desolation, now found its true, enduring form, a faith transformed by the crucible of suffering. It was no longer the simple, unquestioning belief of her youth, a faith of external rituals and comforting certainties. It was a robust, resilient conviction, forged in the fires of winter, tempered by suffering, and illuminated by the insights gleaned from Darya Nikolaevna. She understood now that God was not a distant, all-powerful figure who dictated fates from on high, who commanded battles or intervened in grand, dramatic ways. He was a pervasive presence found in the most unexpected corners of human experience, in the quiet act of forgiveness, in the endurance of suffering, in the profound solidarity of community, in the very act of seeking light amidst overwhelming darkness, in the tenacious unfolding of life itself. Her prayers were less about answers and more about presence, a continuous, silent dialogue with the divine she felt stirring within herself and in the vibrant renewal of the world around her. She saw God not in the triumph of armies, but in the steadfastness of the human heart that, even after witnessing man's ultimate folly, still yearned for goodness, for peace, for love. As the sun grew stronger, its golden rays melting the last stubborn patches of snow, and the fields of Krasnoe turned from dull, thawing brown to tender, vibrant green, Anna walked amidst the newly sprouting crops, feeling the cool, moist earth beneath her boots. She felt a profound sense of rootedness, a connection to the land that was deeper and more resilient than ever before. The physical act of planting seeds, of coaxing new life from the soil, became a sacred ritual, an affirmation of her renewed purpose, a tangible testament to her unwavering commitment to life's eternal cycles. The very act of living, of nurturing, of simply being present, became a profound act of faith. Her life, measured by the seasons, was now unfolding with a new kind of purpose, a profound clarity that transcended the simple duties of her past. She was not just a mother, a wife, a peasant woman. She was a vessel of enduring strength, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a beacon of quiet hope. The unspoken sorrows she carried remained, for they were etched into the very fabric of her being, permanent scars of a profound past. But they no longer defined her. Instead, they served as a somber backdrop against which the quiet triumphs of her transformed life shone even brighter. A rich tapestry of interwoven light and shadow. She was, truly, a woman who had faced the depths of despair, who had wrestled with the meaning of suffering, and who had, through an arduous journey of self-reckoning and spiritual transformation, found her way back to a profound, enduring peace. Her unwavering commitment to her family, her tireless labor on the land, and her quiet, steadfast faith became a living legacy, a testament to the enduring human spirit. Beneath the enduring shadow of the birch grove, the spring of enduring truths had truly arrived, bringing with it a harvest not of grain, but of profound understanding and an unshakable inner light. Chapter 11. Threads rewoven, healing family bonds. The spring, having cast its tender, green tapestry across the fields of Krasnoe, now unfolded with a vibrant exuberance that seemed to defy the memory of winter's long, desolate embrace. The thawing earth, now alive with the restless energy of germination, pulsed with the quiet promise of new life. For Anna Ivanovna Volkov, this season of profound renewal mirrored the burgeoning vitality within her own spirit. Guided by the ancient wisdom gleaned from Darya Nikolaevna, and fortified by the arduous journey of spiritual reckoning and self-forgiveness, she had reclaimed a sense of purpose, a quiet light that shone from within. The persistent echoes of sorrow, though never entirely silenced, had transformed from a torment into a poignant, integrated part of her being. Yet, the deepest work, the true measure of her recovery, lay not merely in her own internal peace, but in the painstaking reweaving of the delicate threads of family bonds, which had frayed under the relentless strain of shared hardship and unspoken burdens. Anna understood, with a profound intuition born of suffering, that healing extended beyond the individual soul. It must permeate the very fabric of communal life. Beginning most intimately with the home, her previous withdrawal, born of illness and spiritual desolation, had, despite her family's boundless love, created a subtle chasm. Now, with her renewed presence and deepened understanding, she embarked upon the arduous, yet infinitely rewarding, task of bridging that divide, not through grand gestures or eloquent words, but through the myriad unspoken languages of the heart, through her renewed presence, her quiet devotion, and her profound understanding. Her relationship with Dmitri, her steadfast husband, deepened into a profound intimacy, born not of youthful passion alone, but of shared endurance and unspoken understanding. Dmitri, though returned physically from the war years ago, still carried the heavy burden of its memories, a profound solemnity that often created an invisible barrier between his inner world and the outer peace of their home. He was a man of quiet diligence, his dedication to the land and his family unwavering, but the horrors he had witnessed often left him distant, his gaze fixed on unseen horizons, his spirit burdened by echoes Anna could only vaguely perceive. She had learned, through her own recent period of profound suffering and subsequent healing, the true nature of his unspoken wounds, and the deep, silent chasm that lay between him and the ease of his former life. Now, Anna communicated not necessarily through words, for some truths were too vast, too terrible for clumsy articulation, too searing for human ears, but through her renewed presence, her quiet devotion, and her profound understanding. She would sit beside him in the evenings by the hearth, the flickering firelight casting long shadows on the walls, her hand gently finding his, her fingers intertwining with his calloused ones. In that simple touch, a lifetime of shared experiences, of endured sorrows, of unspoken love, passed between them. She would listen to his quiet sighs, watch the subtle tension in his broad shoulders, and offer a silent, empathetic understanding. She made sure his meals were hearty, his clothes mended with meticulous care, his izba a sanctuary of warmth and peace, a tangible expression of her boundless devotion. When the nightmares still claimed him, causing him to cry out in the dark, Anna would gently rouse him, her arms offering a familiar, comforting embrace. She would hold him close, stroking his hair, murmuring reassurances, not with words of hollow comfort, but with the profound, unwavering certainty of her presence, of her shared watch. In those quiet hours of shared vulnerability, their souls spoke a language beyond words, a deep communion forged in the crucible of enduring love and mutual suffering. Dmitri, in turn, found himself leaning more upon her quiet strength, finding a profound, wordless solace in her unwavering presence. Her children, Ivan, Maria, and little Alexei, each bore their own subtle burdens, shaped by the passage of time, by their father's long absence and troubled return, and by Anna's own period of profound illness. Anna, drawing on her newfound wisdom, a wisdom born of suffering and refined by Darya Nikolaevna's guidance, now sought to help her family navigate their own quiet struggles, seeing their unspoken needs with a clarity she had not possessed before. Ivan, her eldest, now a young man of 12, had grown into a quiet, serious boy, taking on the heavy responsibilities of the farm with a diligence that bordered on solemnity. He worked tirelessly alongside Dmitri and Ivan Petrovich, learning the arduous ways of the land, but Anna sensed a subtle pressure within him, a burgeoning anxiety about the future, a silent burden of expectation. He yearned for his father's approval, sometimes struggling under the perceived weight of his legacy. Anna observed his quiet efforts, his unspoken worries. She would join him in the fields, not to direct, but simply to be present, her hands working beside his. She would praise his efforts, not effusively, but with genuine appreciation, seeing the dignity in his young toil. "You have strong hands, Ivan," she would say, her voice soft, yet firm, and a steadfast spirit. "Your grandfather would be proud. Your father is proud." In the evenings, she would encourage him to speak of his day, not demanding words, but offering a quiet, attentive ear. She taught him the subtle art of patience, not just with the land, but with himself, reminding him that growth, like the ripening grain, required time and a quiet perseverance. She shared with him the unspoken wisdom of the earth, teaching him that strength also lay in resilience, in yielding to the flow of nature's laws, rather than fighting against them. Maria, her spirited daughter, now a blossoming girl of 12, possessed a restless energy and an inquisitive mind that sometimes chafed against the strictures of village life. Yearning for experiences beyond the familiar, she yearned for stories, for knowledge beyond the confines of Krasnoe. Her imagination sparked by the occasional traveler or peddler, by the distant whispers of other worlds. Anna understood this yearning, for she too had once dreamed beyond the horizons of Zariadi. She did not stifle Maria's spirit, but gently guided it, channeling its boundless energy into purposeful pursuits. She taught Maria intricate embroidery patterns, weaving rich tales of their ancestors, of the saints, of the profound endurance of their people. Into the very threads, she shared folk songs and ancient proverbs, filling Maria's mind not with abstract desires, but with the rich tapestry of their heritage, grounding her restlessness in the profound beauty of their own culture, their enduring traditions. She taught Maria that the greatest wisdom often lay not in distant knowledge, but in the quiet observation of the world immediately around her, in the nuances of human hearts, in the profound unspoken truths of everyday life, in the dignity of patient labor. She helped Maria navigate the small, unspoken frustrations of her adolescence, the subtle tensions with Varvara Petrovna, teaching her patience and silent strength, drawing on her own hard-won lessons of endurance. Little Alexei, still a toddler, bloomed under Anna's renewed, boundless care. His boundless energy, his innocent laughter, became a profound source of unadulterated delight. Anna would spend long moments with him in the kitchen garden, guiding his small hands as he planted seeds, marveling at his innocent wonder at the miracle of growth. His boundless energy and infectious laughter acted as a powerful antidote to any lingering shadows in her heart, reminding her of the pure, unblemished joy that still existed in the world. Recognizing the profound wisdom in his innocence, she found herself learning from him, from his simple, unburdened joy, from his effortless trust in the world, reminding her that true peace was often found not in complex philosophical answers, but in the simple acts of nurturing, in the profound beauty of nascent life, in the endless cycle of love and growth, a truth as eternal as the turning of the seasons. His innocence, once a painful reminder of what she had lost in Fyodor, now became a celebration of life's enduring beauty, a testament to the resilient spirit that had found its way back to her mother's heart. Filling it with light and gratitude, Anna's renewed presence, her quiet devotion, her profound understanding, subtly inspired those around her. Dmitri, though he rarely spoke of it, felt a quiet strength radiating from her, a renewed sense of purpose that seemed to infuse their izba with a rare, enduring peace. He saw the way she handled his own lingering solemnity, not with pity, but with a profound, quiet strength that offered solace without demand, without intrusion. Ivan and Maria, perhaps too young to articulate it in words, felt the subtle shift in their mother's spirit, sensing a deeper well of wisdom and compassion within her. Her example, not her words, taught them the quiet triumph of enduring, of living deeply, of finding meaning in the simplest acts of caring for one another. A silent lesson of profound truth. Even Varvara Petrovna, whose sharp tongue had once been a constant, subtle torment, seemed affected by Anna's transformed spirit. Varvara's criticisms did not entirely cease, for her nature was fixed, rigid like an ancient, gnarled tree, but they grew less frequent, less cutting, as if even her hardened cynicism bowed before the undeniable force of Anna's quiet strength and boundless patience. She observed Anna's tireless devotion to the children, her quiet endurance of hardship, her unwavering presence in the household, and a subtle, unarticulated respect began to grow in the old woman's heart, a grudging acknowledgement of Anna's profound worth. Anna did not seek Varvara's approval, but in her steadfastness, in her quiet dignity, she earned it, an unspoken triumph. The threads of their family life, though stretched and frayed by hardship, by separation, by loss, by unspoken burdens, were slowly, painstakingly, re-woven. The tapestry was not without its shadows, for the scars of memory remained, deep and indelible, woven into its very fabric, but it was now stronger, richer, imbued with a newfound depth and resilience. Anna had learned that true connection was not about superficial agreement, but about embracing shared vulnerability, about understanding unspoken pains, about offering unwavering love even when words failed. Her journey through despair had not made her cold, but infinitely more compassionate, more attuned to the subtle currents of human suffering and the profound capacity for grace. As spring yielded to the full, burgeoning warmth of summer, painting the fields in vibrant hues of emerald and gold, Anna walked amidst the sprouting crops, her hands, still bearing the marks of ceaseless toil, now imbued with a profound tenderness. She felt the cool, moist earth beneath her boots, a tangible connection to the enduring cycles of life, to the very essence of creation. Her heart, once shattered, had been painstakingly pieced back together, not into its former, innocent shape, but into something stronger, more complex, capable of encompassing both profound sorrow and boundless joy. She was not just a woman who had survived, she was a woman who had transformed. Her life a testament to the enduring power of love, of family, and of a steadfast faith, forged in the crucible of suffering, finding its deepest purpose in the quiet, profound acts of nurturing life beneath the enduring shadow of the birch grove. Her life, a continuous unfolding of unspoken sorrows and quiet triumphs, now flowed with a renewed, profound clarity, a testament to the unshakable spirit of a village woman. Chapter 12. The Quiet Triumph, a Legacy in the Soil. The vast, undulating landscape of Mother Russia continued its eternal turning, the seasons flowing one into another with a relentless, majestic rhythm. Years, like the countless individual grains of sand in the riverbed, gathered into decades, weaving themselves into the long, rich tapestry of Krasnoe's history. For Anna Ivanovna Volkov, who had long since emerged from the long winter of her soul, her spirit renewed and refined by suffering, these passing years marked not merely the relentless march of time, but the slow, profound blossoming of a peace hard won from the very crucible of existence. The echoes of the distant war, the bitter taste of loss, the lingering shadows of past despair, though they never entirely vanished from the hidden chambers of her memory, had transformed from a torment into a somber, integrated part of her being, lending her profound depth and an undeniable truth. Anna's later years in Krasnoe were not characterized by dramatic events or overt displays of heroism. For her triumphs were always quiet, her sorrows often unspoken. Instead, her life unfolded with a profound dignity, a tranquil presence that seemed to emanate from the very core of her being. Touching all who came near, her hands, though now gnarled with age and etched with the indelible marks of countless hours of labor, still possessed a quiet strength, a gentle competence that had nurtured life from the soil and from her own flesh. Her hair, once the color of ripe wheat, had faded to a soft, luminous white, framing a face deeply lined, not by bitterness, but by the myriad expressions of enduring effort, profound empathy, and an unshakable inner peace. She had returned from her own period of profound spiritual desolation a woman irrevocably altered. Her youthful innocence, once a tender bloom, had been consumed by the furnace of grief and despair. Yet, through her relentless labor in the fields, through the quiet, ancient counsel of Darya Nikolaevna, the old woman of the forest, and through the arduous, continuous journey of forgiveness and the profound reaffirmation of her love for Dmitri and her children, she had found a path back to herself. It was not a return to the simple, untroubled peasant girl of her youth, but a profound transformation, a new and deeper understanding of what it truly meant to be human. To be truly steadfast, imperceptibly at first, and then with an undeniable clarity that settled upon the collective consciousness of Krasnoe. Anna became a revered figure in the village. Her wisdom was not articulated in eloquent pronouncements, for Anna remained, at heart, a woman of few words. Her wisdom often conveyed through silence, through a discerning gaze, through the quiet strength of her presence. Instead, they sought her counsel for matters of the heart and the land, recognizing in her a profound, unspoken understanding of life's intricacies. When a young farmer struggled with a blighted crop or an ailing animal, Anna would walk the field with him, her gnarled hand brushing the affected plants, her ancient eyes seeing beyond the visible, offering not only practical solutions rooted in generations of agricultural knowledge but also a quiet assurance that sometimes The land, like life, simply demanded patience and endurance, a profound trust in its eternal cycles. When a family grieved a loss, whether from illness or the distant, lingering echoes of war, Anna would sit with them in silence, her presence alone a testament to shared sorrow, a profound act of empathy that transcended words. She would offer a gentle touch, a sympathetic nod, allowing their grief to simply be, knowing that some wounds healed not through frantic action, but through quiet acknowledgement and patient endurance. They saw in her a woman who had weathered storms far greater than their own, whose heart had known depths of sorrow beyond imagining, yet who remained deeply rooted, profoundly resilient, a living testament to the enduring human spirit. Her quiet strength, her unyielding capacity for compassion, inspired those around her not to despair, but to endure. Her steadfastness was not a lack of struggle, but the very embodiment of how one embraced life's complexities, the profound understanding that true peace was not the absence of conflict, but the enduring capacity of the spirit to persevere through it, to find grace even within its depths. She bore the indelible scars of memory, the loss of Fyodor, the horror of the war that had claimed him and others, her own prolonged illness, each a silent testament to trials bravely endured. The nightmares, though less frequent in her later years, still visited her, like faint echoes from a distant shore, and in their wake, Anna would still sometimes wake, her body trembling, her thoughts adrift in the desolation of the battlefield. But now, she would turn to Dmitri, her beloved husband, and in the quiet solace of his familiar embrace, she found not just comfort, but a profound affirmation of the enduring power of love to heal even the deepest wounds. His ability to openly, albeit haltingly, share the fragments of his burden, to allow him to witness her vulnerability, marked a profound evolution in their relationship, a deep intimacy born of shared vulnerability and mutual healing. She continued to love deeply, with a quiet devotion that permeated every aspect of her life. Her love for Dmitri became a rich, resilient bond, a tapestry woven from strands of shared trials and quiet triumphs, of unspoken understanding that transcended words. She would watch him, a quiet tenderness in her eyes, seeing not just the man she married, but the unwavering companion who had weathered the storms with her, whose steadfast presence had been an anchor in her darkest hours. Their connection was a testament to the enduring power of human affection, a love that had transformed from youthful passion into a profound, sacred partnership, rooted in the shared soil of their lives. Her children, Ivan, Maria, and Alexei, blossomed under her quiet, enduring guidance, absorbing her lessons not just through spoken words, but through the unwavering example of her daily life, through the subtle, unyielding strength that emanated from her very being. Ivan, now a mature man, a devoted husband and father himself, had inherited his father's serious eyes and his own mother's deep connection to the land. Anna had taught him the intricacies of farming, the patience required by the earth, the reverence for its cycles, lessons passed down through generations of Volkovs and Petrovas. She had taught him not just how to work the soil, but how to listen to it, how to respect its rhythms. She had never spoken of the war in heroic terms, but hinted at its profound cost, subtly teaching her son the true nature of peace, the preciousness of human connection. Maria, her spirited daughter, now a vibrant woman, a wife and mother, carried her own quiet strength, infused with Anna's gentle wisdom. Anna had nurtured her independent spirit, guiding it with a steady hand, teaching her that true strength could be found not only in adherence to tradition, but also in the quiet pursuit of one's own truth, in the profound beauty of expressing one's unique spirit. Maria, in turn, learned from her mother the unspoken virtues of endurance, of compassion, of finding joy in the simple acts of nurturing life. Little Alexei, now a man grown, married with children of his own, still retained the boundless joy of his childhood, tempered by the quiet understanding of life's challenges. Anna, in her later years, found a profound solace in his presence, his unburdened spirit a constant reminder of the pure, unadulterated grace that still existed in the world. He would sit with her by the hearth, listening to her quiet stories of the old days, of the village, of the ways of the earth, drawing wisdom from her profound stillness. Anna held onto her faith even after it had been profoundly tested, forging it anew into a deeper, more personal conviction that sustained her through all tribulations. Her faith was no longer the innocent, unquestioning adherence of her youth, a simple belief in a benevolent God. It was a robust, resilient belief, forged in the crucible of winter, tempered by suffering, and illuminated by the insights gleaned from Darya Nikolaevna. She had seen the depths of human depravity, the profound silence of God in the face of carnage. Yet she had found God not in the absence of pain, but within the very fabric of suffering, in the moments of unexpected compassion, in the enduring strength of the human spirit. Her prayers, though still carrying the echoes of past pleas and doubts, were now imbued with a profound gratitude, a quiet acceptance of the mysteries of divine will. She continued to attend church, to participate in the ancient rituals, finding in the communal worship not just tradition, but a profound connection to the collective soul of her people, to a shared spiritual journey that transcended individual understanding. As Anna's later years unfolded, she became a living embodiment of the enduring human spirit, a legacy of quiet resilience for her children and grandchildren, and indeed, for the entire village of Krasnoe. She did not recount tales of battlefield glory, for there was none, but rather, she lived a life that spoke volumes about endurance, about the profound value of home, of family, of faith, and of the land. Her hands, though aged and trembling, continued to work the soil, her movements deliberate and purposeful, a silent testament to her unwavering commitment to life. Her eyes, though shadowed by memory and the inevitable sorrows of a long life, held a profound serenity, a hard-won peace that radiated outward, touching those around her with its quiet light. Her grandchildren would sit on her knee, their small faces upturned, listening to her quiet stories of the land, of the changing seasons, of the wisdom of the earth. They saw the lines of weariness on her face, but also the deep, comforting warmth in her eyes, the profound tenderness in her touch. They sensed the immense wisdom she carried, a wisdom born not of books, but of experience, of enduring hardship with unwavering grace. They did not know the full measure of the sorrows she had borne, the unspoken burdens she had carried, but they intuitively understood the profound peace that emanated from her, a peace that felt as ancient and comforting as the very soil of Krasnoe. They absorbed her resilience, her unwavering love, her quiet faith, not through explicit teaching, but through the powerful, enduring example of her life. The echoes of the distant war, and of all her unspoken sorrows, though they continued to resonate within the hidden chambers of her memory, no longer held dominion over her soul. They were a part of her story, a part of her legacy, woven into the rich tapestry of her enduring spirit. Anna Ivanovna Volkov lived out her days in Krasnoe, a woman reconciled with her past, embracing her present, and leaving behind a profound testament to the quiet strength of the human heart, to its capacity for steadfastness in the face of overwhelming adversity. Her life became a living sermon, a testament to the enduring truths of faith, family, and the profound, healing power of the gentle soil beneath the shadow of the birch grove. She was, truly, a quiet titan of resilience, her steadfast heart a beacon in the enduring human story. And so, the quiet years continued to flow, weaving themselves into the enduring tapestry of Krasnoe's long and humble history. Anna Ivanovna Volkov, a woman who had, through the relentless turning of the seasons, traversed the vast landscape of human suffering and found the profound depths of resilience, bore the indelible marks of her journey not as burdens, but as testaments to an abiding truth. Her life, measured in the patient rhythms of the land, the joyous growth of her children and grandchildren, and the quiet, unwavering flame of her transformed faith, became a living sermon, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. The echoes of unspoken sorrows, though they resonated still within the hidden chambers of her memory, no longer held dominion over her soul. Instead, they served to illuminate the profound, resilient light that shone from within her, a beacon of steadfastness for generations to come, proving that the human heart, when deeply rooted in love and tempered by endurance, possessed an eternal, unbreakable strength beneath the timeless embrace of the birch grove. The short story ends here. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the story. Thank you. Goodbye and see you again in the next stories. Part 1 of the story ends here. Thank you and goodbye. See you again in the next part.